Mr. Chairman, despite what I have heard for quite some time from the industry that we are just absolutely safe under all circumstances, I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that there is no such thing as too safe to spill, because we've had that experience already. And I'm looking forward to the second panel because as I read the written testimony, I can already see the liability chase. In one step, it's like a bit of a Texas two-step. Oh, yeah, we're responsible, but BP says Transocean, Transocean says Halliburton. So I can see the liability chase that's going to go on. And so I'm looking forward to that second panel to see who's going to fess up to what. Let me ask you, Mr. Dannenberger, I understand you left MMS a year ago. Is that right?
January, this January.
Oh, January of this year. Okay. Well, thank you for your service. I wonder, the Montara wellhead explosion off the coast of Australia in 2009, it spilled for 105 days. It leaked between 1.2 and 9 million gallons of oil. Based upon the testimony we received from MMS last year, it seems MMS simply dismissed the spill as something that could not occur in U.S. waters. Now it's happened. Did MMS learn anything from this accident?
Well, that investigation, like this one, is still going on. And as a matter of fact, they just finished the hearings 4 days before this incident occurred. So still lessons to be learned there. There are some similarities in that there was a failure of well integrity in both situations. So I think there needs to be renewed emphasis on well integrity work.
Well, you submitted, I guess on a voluntary basis to the Commission and the Montara a statement. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in it you said, among other things, and I found it to be very interesting, it says, this incident appears to have been entirely preventable if internationally accepted practices were followed. Is that true in the case of the situation here?
It may be. We have to find out more. The main point there with the Montara blowout was that they didn't have a secondary barrier in the production casing. So that's internationally recognized and wasn't going to be in place here, but apparently it never happened.
Dr. Beck, the blowout protector, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, had supposedly multiple redundancies, right?
Correct.
Yet none of them worked. Is that a fair statement?
That, I think, is a fair statement.
So we have multiple redundancies. It's not just a singular thing that's going to work to create the safety. Multiple redundancies, we're told that, oh, well, don't worry, because if one doesn't work, another one will, and if that one doesn't work, another one will. And none of them worked. None of them worked. So, Mr. Dannenberger, when MMS goes ahead and does testing, can you give me a sense of the testing? How is it that the testing always seems to pass, and yet when it was needed, it failed?
All the components of a blowout preventer stack that have to hold pressure are pressure tested during these blowout preventer tests, and charts are made that show the pressure holding, and they're certified. So it's a mystery.
Is the test a test that, in retrospect now, is an appropriate test to really judge whether or not, under these set of circumstances, it will operate as it's supposed to?
Is
it something that should be reviewed?
An appropriate test. Whether more needs to be done, we'll have to learn that. But
one final question, Dr. Beck. As I understand it, current safety and environmental regulations don't differentiate between deep and shallow water development. Should there be more stringent regulations for deep water development?
Senator, I would defer that to Mr. Dannenberger in terms of
Mr. Dannenberger, can you answer that question for me?
The operations are similar in many circumstances, particularly with regard to well integrity, and there are some differences in the regulations. Whether there should be a separate set of regulations or a separate section for deep water, I think that's merits consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.